It's a long day for an offensive lineman. It's a lot of individual, and then you come over here and run some team reps and then 2 minutes. So I think the biggest thing has just been his conditioning and confidence to go out there and block these guys, and that looks like he's improved each day.
And Nashville SC is back on the pitch tonight at Geodis Park in the Leagues Cup tournament, taking on Club America. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m., and it's expected that Sam Surridge will be making his debut for the boys in gold tonight. And the Nolensville Little League baseball team is in the region championship game today against Florida. The first pitch on ESPN is set for 4 p.m. Today's winner advances to the 2023 Little League World Series, which begins on August 16th in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air.
Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Nashville.
The suit is in the building.
Acknowledge me.
Are you ready? Ready? This is Chase McCabe on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome in. Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game live today. Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, Titans training camp. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your day. A little more traffic out there this morning because school is back in session. Kind of noticed that on my way over here, but not too bad. Ladarius is on site with us. Nick Frazier is back at the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Hello, Nick. How are you?
Hello, Chase. Good morning. Good to have you back on the airwaves, unlike yesterday.
Yeah. Thanks to Jared for filling in for me yesterday as I was traveling back from Chicago. And just wasn't sure I was going to make it on time, and so he was nice enough to do the show and double dip a little bit yesterday. So thanks to Jared for doing that. But we're back at it. Teron Davenport, Titans NFL Nation reporter, going to join us at 9:15 live from Titans training camp because I want to get his thoughts on things that have been going on in practice, including Mike Vrabel announcing yesterday that assistant head coach and defensive line coach Terrell Williams is going to be the head coach this weekend for the Titans, just to give him an opportunity to serve as a head coach. And I'm intrigued by that. So I want to get TD's thoughts on that. Jonathan Hutton from Outkick will join us at 10:30 to talk even more Titans. But had a little weekend in Chicago. Got to see the Cubs and the Braves at Wrigley, which was cool. Unfortunately for me, I did not see the Braves win. I saw a lot of hitting, but it was the Cubs getting it done, but the Braves still the best team in baseball with 70 wins, and that's okay. But now they've lost 3 in a row, so I need them to turn it around. You know, I don't like these. I don't like that. I don't like these losing streaks, but hopefully they can get it turned around. But Chicago was a great time. Got to see Ryan Porth, who, of course, used to be the program director here. So it's good to be back in the saddle, though. But there was something that I kind of made its rounds, and I don't know exactly when this was that this took place, but this is going to get some time today. And so we start things off, Nick, with the Pulse.
Bringing you Nashville's most trending topic.
You can make some noise for that.
It's the Pulse.
The bam.
Now with Chase McCabe.
So in, this business, in broadcasting, I mean, there's a couple of things you got to remember. Depending on who you work for, like in our situation, we talk about the Titans. Maybe we're a little more free on some opinions because we're not the team broadcaster. When covering the Predators and on a Predators broadcast, there's a different take that you kind of, or a different way you have to look at things. And, we all know that kind of comes with the territory if you're, working for the team. I think everybody pretty much understands that. Gone are the days of Marty Brenneman or, in some cases, Vin Scully, that they had so much cachet that they could say whatever the hell they wanted and nobody was going to say anything. But I saw this over the weekend. So this was July 23rd when this happened. Kevin Brown is the broadcaster for the Baltimore Orioles. Baltimore Orioles are having a tremendous year. They're, I think, the second best team in baseball right now, behind the Atlanta Braves. And he was setting up a game in Tampa between the Orioles and the Rays. This was his pregame comments that got him in some hot water.
For the Orioles, Brandon Hyde has felt like this has been maybe the toughest ballpark to play in, but the Orioles have a chance to do something special today. They've already clinched at least a split in the series, winning 2 of the first 3, and they could pick up a series win behind Tyler Wells today. It's been a minute. The Orioles split a 2-gamer with the Rays in June. They had lost their last 15 series here at Tropicana Field. You have to go back to when our now colleague Brad Brock picked up the win in the series finale, June 25th, 2017, the last time the Orioles won a series here at St. Pete. Already got 3-2 at the Trop this year after winning 3 of 18 the previous 3 years combined. It is a stark difference, Ben, and it is not a bad Rays team. It's not like all of a sudden the Rays became slouches in the American League East. They've led this division every day but now 2, and the Orioles once again are back alone in first place.
Yeah. So I saw this, and I saw the tweet from Awful Announcing talking about Kevin Brown and that he had been suspended from Orioles broadcast. And then they said, here's the video that got him in trouble. And I'm expecting, like, oh, he drops an F-bomb, or he makes some off-color joke or whatever. I had to watch it twice. And I go, what the hell was the problem here? And basically, according to Awful Announcing, Orioles ownership took issue with the comment of basically him talking about that they had struggled against Tampa and that it had been a minute since they had had a lot of success in Tampa. And then the Orioles ownership is now saying, a senior official said, quote, "We don't comment on personnel matters and we look forward to hearing Kevin's voice soon." What a chicken bleep answer. Like, you're going to suspend a guy for basically stating facts. He didn't give an opinion. He was stating a fact. He had the record. He had the last time that, the success had happened. He referenced that his colleague was a part of that it had been a while. Like, are you kidding me? He gets suspended for that. Now, obviously, this story has blown up. And again, as I said, I understand when you work for a team, there's a little bit of a different set of rules. That, there is some homerism and, all of that. That comes with it. But if you're just stating facts, like if I'm setting up a Predators broadcast and I say, hey, the Predators haven't beaten X team, since X date, that's a fact. Nobody calls me. Nobody says anything. It's just that's what's happened. I mean, I remember we would talk about Peter Laviolette, and for whatever reason, he didn't have a lot of success against the Detroit Red Wings. It's a fact. We didn't make a big deal about it. But the fact that the Orioles have suspended Kevin Brown, and then they're basically trying to say we don't comment on personnel matters, which means they know they're getting called out on it, and they're like, oh, no, now what do we do? It just is absolutely ridiculous. It just, are we – and the Orioles are having a great season, but is it to that point of just you can't take anything anymore, that for a guy basically stating facts, you're going to bench him? It's unbelievable. And so I saw that, and again, I had to watch it twice for me to understand, like, wait, what happened? Like, why is this guy been shown the door or given a break?
Chase, I don't know if you saw this or not, but Michael Kay, who is the radio broadcast and does TV broadcasts as well for the New York Yankees and ESPN, he even said on a radio station, I believe somewhere in New York, that this is also planned out. Like, this is also put into rehearsal. The graphic is made to the game. Like, this was all already planned out. And if, like, the front office of the Orioles had some issue with it, they should have already looked at it beforehand. And it's a scapegoat, situation, unfortunately for Mr. Brown, because I've watched some of the Orioles games on MLB TV, and he does a fantastic job. And so this is
He's a good broadcaster.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see that this is turned into something that should not have happened overall.
I mean, my reaction to this is, okay, like there's got to be more to this. Like there's something we don't know, but it doesn't feel like there's something we don't know. It feels like that somebody in ownership, got a little bit of the butthurtness over him stating a fact, not giving an opinion, stating a fact. Well, you're going to get mad at him because he was like, oh, it's been a minute. Well, where find the holes in that. It has. And so somebody in the front office is going to get upset about that and then throw him out. I mean, look, I know that teams, especially on the home broadcasts, they want rah-rah, everything is awesome. But with that, I mean, come on. It's just very weak. It's Bush League, if I'm being honest. I mean, trust me, I know. I mean, I get it. We work with teams. You got to know where a certain line is, but that I can't give you that at all. I think it's ridiculous, and I think there's going to be even more fallout from it.
Yeah, I just feel bad for the person that's going to be filling in for him. I mean,
yeah, well, I guess that's been the case because he's been off for a while.
Really?
So
since I think July 23rd is when this took place, right?
Yeah, it's just weak. It's very weak, and I look forward to hearing what ownership of the Orioles has to say, even though I bet they will run and hide and have nothing to say about it. But I didn't have an issue with it. So it's obviously a story that's making the rounds right now. One story that's making the rounds around here is that Mike Vrabel will not be acting as the head coach on Saturday in Chicago when the Titans open the preseason. It will be assistant head coach and defensive line coach Terrell Williams. Teron Davenport going to join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on that. We're live today. Titans training camp at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. Our training camp coverage is presented by the Simmons Bank Open, Parman Energy, Cottle Vet Clinic, and the new Cumberland Development here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Rose 6 to 9.
Big-time performance, best part of the team.
Chase McCabe 9 to 11.
An unrestricted free agent.
Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase 11 to 2.
Got the big contract.
The Velvet Touch. Talk about Hall of Famers.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
Kept going for it.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Smashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
All right, let's talk Superbook Sports. Baseball is going on right now. You can bet on that on Superbook Sports, but football is right around the corner. It's time to get your preseason bets in with Superbook here in Tennessee. They are the most trusted name out of Las Vegas, and right now you can use my promo code CHASE to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 with the promo code CHASE. It's that simple. My name, CHASE. Will Tennessee win the division this year? Who's your pick for MVP? And which team will win it all in February? Don't sit on the sidelines. Win money this season with Superbook Sports. Just download the Superbook Tennessee app or visit superbook.com to place your wager today. Football, a $250 first bet bonus using the Chase promo code will make you do your own touchdown dance this season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Real estate investors, get ready for an incredible opportunity. D&M Development is thrilled to announce the Phase 1 presale of 16 non-owner occupied short-term rentals in Nashville's exclusive resort-style community, the New Cumberland. Nestled between Germantown and East Nashville, this exceptional location offers stunning views of the city and the Cumberland River. Each unit features spacious kitchens, 4 bedrooms, and 4 baths, providing the ultimate luxury experience for your guests. Resort-style pools and a wide range of amenities. Don't miss out on this exclusive investment chance. Visit thenewcumberland.com for more information and secure your spot in this extraordinary community.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality, so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones.
All shapes, rounds, ovals, radiants, cushion cuts, pear shapes, emerald cuts, princess cuts. There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Every day we are live and local.
You need to give Ryan Tannehill a 2-year extension.
There haven't been too many coaching changes for the Predators.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I think that's what the Titans need.
Players who can score.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Chase McCabe.
He did not want to rehearse, and he wanted to leave as soon as possible.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
I told the team and everybody involved here at the organization, but Terrell Williams will act as the head coach for Chicago starting on Friday. So I think this is a great opportunity for him and for us and everybody involved. So Big T will handle that. Clint will handle the defensive line, and so that'll start on Friday. So you guys can handle that through Robbie and the communication when you talk to Big T and kind of steer it towards that. And he'll talk to you after the game, and I'll come back on Sunday and visit with you guys. So go ahead, Teresa.
That was Mike Vrabel, Titans head coach yesterday. Back here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, Titans training camp. As Terrell Williams, assistant head coach and defensive line coach, will act as the head coach Saturday in Chicago. Teron Davenport, Titans NFL Nation reporter for ESPN, joins us now. And TD, obviously an unexpected announcement by Mike Vrabel, but now that I've had a little time to digest it, I understand what he's trying to do, and I like it.
Yeah, it's unexpected, but I think it's very well calculated, and it gives a guy like Terrell Williams an opportunity to experience the whole makeup of game week. And I think that's the key thing, is to get that experience, get that feel. And I really like what he's doing there. It's innovative, and it's definitely a good thing.
And we're gonna, as we go through this and talk about this, we're gonna look at it from both sides of the equation of, okay, why it's a good thing, and then maybe some questions that go with it. But he said he'd been thinking about this. It was ultimately his idea that he came up with this. And I said to some people, this might start a trend because it's the first preseason game. And, yes, there are important things that have to come out of that. But you get to keep 90 on the roster until the very end. So it's not like you're worrying about making roster cuts right after the first preseason game. And like you said, it gives Terrell Williams the opportunity to go through game week to kind of understand what Mike Vrabel has to go through as the head coach, and gives him more or less a tryout that maybe he can get some interviews for head coaching jobs.
Yeah, I think that's exactly the case. And, look, just because he's not actually being the head coach doesn't mean he can't get impact.
Sure.
He's going to be there. You can still evaluate. And I think, frankly, it's actually a good thing also because you get a different perspective.
Yeah.
Right? You're not looking at it through the head coach lens where you have to worry about, okay, we got 3 timeouts. I got 2 challenges. I got this, that, and you could just observe. And I think that really helps to be able to look at it from that perspective because it's a different viewpoint. It's like looking at it, watching practice from upstairs on the balcony as opposed to down here. It's just something different.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. I don't know. I can't reference any time that this has happened in the NFL, but a few years ago with the Predators, when Peter Laviolette was the head coach, he did take a couple of preseason games and he let his assistants handle it. He put one assistant that usually wasn't on the bench. Peter watched it from the booth to get a different perspective.
Right.
And he let the assistants handle it and gave them an opportunity, to run the game as a head coach. And so I understand it for sure because, like you said, it allows you a different perspective and it's given Big T, as he calls him, an opportunity. Now, the other part of this is, and I've read some articles since Vrabel made this announcement, that Vrabel's getting praised because he's doing something that the owners have done a poor job of, and he's given a minority candidate an opportunity here to maybe get more eyes on him than would have been if he wasn't getting this opportunity. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's something you can say, that he's getting more eyes on him because it's a game that's going to be on TV. But I think mostly this is from the perspective of getting him an opportunity and experience what it's like to go through the whole itinerary and to be on that sideline and be the one that has to call a timeout or be the one that has to challenge, set your different lineup situations. I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, it's exposure, but, I mean, for the most part, the league knows, those inside the league, they know who Terrell Williams is.
Sure.
He's been in the league for 12 years.
But do you think that, I mean, because, and look, I'd love your perspective on this. I think that while the Rooney Rule is in place, they haven't done a great job with it. And there's more that there are great candidates both as GM and head coach that should be getting bigger looks than they are. And so do you think that a situation like this can help that?
It could help him be better prepared for an interview.
Yeah.
Because he'll know, okay, this is one thing I found when I had to do this.
Right.
As a result of that, I decided to do this. I think that's just the experience. That's the main thing that's really going to help him, and that could be a beneficial part of it. I definitely believe.
Now, looking at the other part of it, because, and I think I've said this to you, one thing that I want to see, is the Titans are auditioning kickers, and Caleb Shudak seems to be the guy right now. But if it's a 4th down situation and maybe on a normal day Mike Vrabel goes for it, but it'd be like a 52-yard kick and he wants to evaluate his kicker, I'm going to assume that there's a plan in place where Big T knows, like, hey, March 6th out there, I want to see if he can hit this kick, because that's a part of the evaluation that I would worry about Vrabel not being, making the call.
Yeah, because that's a situation where maybe he would go for it.
Sure.
But, again,
I want to see if he can hit the kick.
From the perspective of the evaluation, because they have to see that. Shudak missed from 53 into the win yesterday. So they definitely need to see what that leg is looking like in the 50-plus. I know it's not something that they seem to emphasize as much, but they need to.
Yeah, and I think they will. Teron Davenport is with us. So we're a little over 2 weeks into camp. The first preseason game is coming up Saturday. What's kind of been your evaluation of this Tim Kelly offense, even though they're not going to show us everything? I mean, I'm sure they're working on a lot of stuff when we're not out here. But just your early takeaways of the evolution of this offense.
Well, I think the passing part of it is really interesting. It's going to be more than just the receivers and tight ends. I like how they've gotten the running backs involved, Tajay Spears specifically. And then you also look at just some of the things that they're doing, I think, to account for the offensive line, right? So it's a lot of quick passes. They're doing some things, to get the ball into the playmakers' hands and let them make something happen. That's the big part of it. I like that. They're going to still run the ball, though.
Sure.
I asked Tim Kelly about that last week, and, he said it would be foolish to get away from the team's strengths, and that's Derrick Henry, and it revolves around him.
we've seen this offensive line now for a couple of weeks, and you kind of get a better evaluation when they put the pads on. What do you kind of think about that group right now? Is they still looks like Chris Hubbard's lining up at right tackle at least right now, and maybe that's going to be the plan for the first 6 games. But what's kind of your overall takeaway from this completely rebuilt O-line?
I like the left side. I think the left side's done well. Skoronski is so consistent, so good at absorbing the bull rush, the way he drops his anchor. I mean, he's going against, he and Daniel Brunskill. If I was Brunskill, I would hate practice because it seems like every time one-on-ones he's matched up with 98.
Yeah.
It's just like, dang, man, like give me somebody else. I want to get better, but dang, every time. But he's held his own. I think you look at Aaron Brewer, he's done a good job. It seems like he and Tierre Tart are matched up all the time, which is perfect because we know Brewer, the whole thing with the weight, and that's something a lot of people have questions about. Tart is 320 pounds, and you got that coming at you.
Yeah.
And he's absorbing it. I think you look at Dillard, too. He put together 2 really good practices. I asked Mike Vrabel about that, and he joked with me, thanking me for the evaluation, but then proceeded to confirm what I said.
Right.
I thought that was funny. But I think overall that group is solid. It's just that right tackle spot. I would be booting away from that right side a lot.
Was there anything that surprised you about the unofficial depth chart that came out yesterday? I mean, I know we don't make a big deal about that, and we shouldn't make a big deal about that. But, like, for instance, on defense, Sean Murphy-Bunting kind of listed as the starting cornerback over Roger McCreary. A couple people brought that up. I don't really have an issue with that. Anything stand out to you?
I mean, it's what we've seen.
Yeah.
And, again, this depth chart, it's not necessarily from the coaches. This is what the PR team has gathered from their observations.
Yeah.
So it's not the end-all, be-all. Case in point, Kyle Phillips, he is the slot. That's the top slot receiver, rather. He's not listed that way. I think, it's unofficial, and it's preliminary. It says as of 8/7.
Yep.
It's fluent. Things could change.
How do you think Vrabel and Terrell Williams and Mike Kelly are going to split the reps between Malik Willis and Will Levis on Saturday? Because I don't expect to see Ryan Tannehill at all.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Tannehill, and that's a good question because I'm curious how that will be split up also. Like, will it be a few series, 2 series, and then 2 series for the next guy? Will it be a quarter?
I'd like to see a rotation.
Will it be a half? I frankly would rather see quarters.
Okay.
Yeah. Give Malik the first quarter, Levis the second, and then so forth.
And that way they can work with the, whoever, the 2s and the 3s, and they're getting the kind of that mix and match.
They could work with whoever, but they could also get an opportunity to get into a groove. Like you could settle in.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? And it's just like you go out there for 1 series and then they take you out and then you go back in. It's like,
yeah, you can't get in a rhythm.
Yeah, no flow.
I get that for sure. One guy I haven't asked you about, but Christian Fulton has been somebody that I've paid attention to a lot in this training camp. I think he's had a nice training camp to this point. It's all, to me, about health and staying healthy. And if he can do that, then, he's going to find himself getting a new contract, whether it's here or elsewhere.
Yeah.
But he can make an impact on this team.
Yeah, there are some significant differences between this year and last year. A, he didn't have surgery.
Yeah.
And B, he's not sick.
Yeah.
Right? So he lost a lot of weight going into last year. This time, like going into camp around this time. He also went to Miami. He trained with the trainer. And it wasn't, a lot of these guys, they do group training.
Yeah.
Oh, this was one-on-one.
Right.
Me and you. And you're going to make me better. And this trainer is the same one to work with D-Wade, work with LeBron James to help reduce his soft tissue injuries. You heard Mike Vrabel say that he looks bigger and quicker at 195 to move the way he's moving is impressive. The confidence is there. I mean, I even saw him out there talking trash. He's taking on DeAndre Hopkins. I think it's really good the way things are looking for him so far. So, yeah, definitely a positive, and it's right on time because it's time to sign a contract, to earn that contract even more. So he's one to watch, that's for sure.
TD, I'll let you go watch practice. Thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll be listening, talking with TD.
Yes, sir.
New episode tomorrow. Is that right?
Yeah, it's going to drop tomorrow.
Awesome.
We're going to record today, but yep.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thanks,
Yes,
TD.
sir.
Appreciate it.
Sure.
Teron Davenport, Titans NFL Nation reporter, joining us. Coming up next, I'll give more on Terrell Williams and my thoughts on this. That's next. Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
The Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut.
Strong-willed opinions.
There's hot takes and then there's like weird takes. Yeah. This is a weird take.
And sometimes some old man takes.
I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rex Road. Mornings from 6 to 9. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
So, if there's brunch, why isn't there dinner?
Or dunch, for that matter.
No, we know why there's no dunch.
Why is that?
People might get confused and miss brunch.
And I never want to miss a brunch this good.
Me either. Cheers.
Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Breakfast buffet Monday through Thursday from 7 till 10:30 a.m. and lunch from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Weekend brunch Friday through Sunday from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. featuring cast iron pancakes, made to order waffles, and eggs and carafes of mimosas. Treat yourself today to Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
The Electronic Express Summer Clearance event has been extended. Get instant savings in every department, including all appliances, laptops and tablets, smart home, gaming consoles, Bluetooth speakers, and more. At Electronic Express, we have up to 50% off all your home theater needs, including 4K TVs, sound bars, and more. In stock and ready to deliver. Plus, buy now, pay later with up to 60 months special financing. Shop the Summer Clearance event at Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, do you need to listen on the go? Download the Game Nashville app from your app store today, and you can listen to us anywhere in the world. World. It's that simple. What an age we live in.
Chase McCabe on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
So is it more to give Terrell the opportunity and exposure to acting as a head coach and helping that? I mean, and how valuable is that?
Well, again, that'll be something that you'll have to ask him afterwards. But I just think that him dealing and talking with the trainer and you know, again, we'll have a lot of conversations between now and, Friday, but just handling things with the roster and discussing those things with the assistant coaches and, how we want to play the game or letting them make those decisions in the game. And, we'll go into the game with things that we think we need to try to get done, and I'm sure he'll try to do that, and I'll help him, where need be. But I do think it'll be a great opportunity, well-deserved. And so this is something that I wanted to do.
That was Mike Vrabel yesterday, kind of giving more of an explanation on his decision to allow Terrell Williams to act as the head coach this weekend. Back here, Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, live today. Titans training camp at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. Appreciate Teron Davenport for stopping by to see us and talk as practice is underway, as they have a couple of periods going on at the moment as people here observing. But so my thoughts on this, and I'm glad TD could stop by and talk about it, is, I understand kind of the skepticism of some people. I know Jared was not for it, or was not necessarily not for it, but was questioning it. And so I kind of see both sides. But I think Mike Vrabel is looking at this as, how can I help the coaching fraternity grow? And, whether it was 100% his idea or somebody said, hey, what if you did this, or however it came to be, we don't know, and we probably will never know. But the fact that he's doing it is something unprecedented, and I hope that it creates maybe a trend that you see other coaches around the league that especially have somebody that has been a long-time assistant, and has been on many coaching staffs and has been doing this forever. Get thrown in there, get those reps, and get essentially a tryout. Is this going to lead to Terrell Williams becoming a head coach next year? I don't know. I mean, I would say probably not, but you never know. It gets him those reps, and it's just like, Malik Willis getting reps in a game as a starting quarterback, or a young receiver getting more reps in a preseason game. The same goes for a coach, and so it's like when the announcement came out, I thought to myself, like, I wonder why nobody's ever really thought of this before. Because, again, and if you have an example of this happening in the NFL before, I'd love to hear it. I don't. I'd love some examples of that. I used the Predators example, with Peter Laviolette, watching from the booth, a few years ago in the preseason. But I can't remember, something like this happening in the NFL. And, the other part of it is, and TD and I touched on this, is, there's been a lot of discussion, especially in the last few years, over minority candidates and having more black head coaches, more minority head coaches, general managers. There are incentives in place, for teams. So, if Terrell Williams were to get a head coaching job, Titans would receive compensation with the draft pick. But, just kind of getting more of these coaches, and Vrabel looks at it as coaches, getting them more experience and notoriety. And I think that's important. I think that is something that, I can look at, and I would imagine that coaches everywhere would go, man, I wish I'd had that opportunity when I was coming up. That you have a guy that cares enough that wants to help you, because I do believe that. I 100% believe that from Vrabel's point of view, that, he's wanting to help one of his coaches, get an opportunity. But what do you think? 615-737-1025 about Terrell Williams, Titans assistant head coach. He's going to be the acting head coach. Now, you can't tell me for a second that Vrabel's not going to be on a headset and involved, whether he's watching from the sideline or he's watching from the booth or what have you. He's going to have some say on some things, but he's going to allow Terrell Williams to kind of go through the week or the weekend as the head coach. This was Mike Vrabel yesterday about what has stood out to him about Terrell Williams as a coach.
What has stood out to you about him as a coach?
Just his ability to reach every player, offensively, defensively. Great experiences at different places, and you always see him talking to guys across the ball, or O-linemen, or young players, veteran players. So
that was Mike Vrabel. Okay, so Jared's texting me, and again, Jared has had a lot of opinions on this, and I enjoyed listening to it yesterday. After the news came out on his show. So, his whole thing is that he gets it and appreciates that he's doing it for the coaches' brotherhood and the fraternity, or however you want to put it, but that he's paid by the Titans. His job is to get the Titans ready for the regular season, and that if the player, that he looks at it as the players are not going to take it seriously and take the preseason seriously. I don't think that's the case at all. And his exact thing to me was, there's no way to get this team to take preseason seriously if the coach doesn't. I think it's the contrary. I think the coach is taking the preseason seriously. He's still going to be involved. Just because he's not standing there on the sideline, with the main headset, calling timeouts and, when to go for it on third and fourth down, I should say, what to do there, doesn't mean he's not taking it seriously. If anything, it's giving him another perspective. like that he can watch things, that he's not so locked into the moment that he can take a broader view. I think he's taking it very seriously. And no, you wouldn't do this in a regular season game. Hell, you wouldn't even do this in the second or third preseason game. But in the first one, I don't see a problem with it. Because it's not taking him out. Like, Vrabel's not staying in Nashville and watching on TV. Vrabel's going. Vrabel can decide where he wants to watch it from. And my guess is he's going to watch it from multiple spots. He might watch from the sideline. He might go sit in the booth, with the other coaches. He's going to be involved. So, again, I don't see it, Jared, as he's not taking this seriously. And I don't think the players are going to view it that way either. I think everybody knows. I mean, what is the difference? I mean, I know there's a difference. There's the head coach and a player, but, I mean, are we going to give Ryan Tannehill crap for not playing in the preseason? Like, is he not taking it seriously if he doesn't play? And, I mean, that's not even his call. That's the coaches are not going to let him play because they don't want him to get hurt. Same for Derrick Henry. But isn't that kind of the same thing? But they're going to be involved. They're out here practicing. Whether they go to Chicago or not, they're going to be paying attention. So, I don't know. My biggest concern is, does Williams know what to do in those situations? Like, is it predetermined, like, hey, if there's an opportunity for Shudak to kick from 53, I don't care how close we are. I want him to kick from 53. My guess is that's going to be understood from the beginning, and you're going to see that. Or, hey, I want to see how, our fourth and short yardage stuff works. You're using that for evaluation. You treat a preseason game much differently than you do a regular season game. 615-737-1025. Joe wants to weigh in on the coaching situation on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Joe, welcome in.
Hey, appreciate you taking my call. Did you say this guy that's doing this is the assistant coach?
Yeah, he's the assistant head coach and the defensive line coach.
All right, I'd much rather him get his feet wet in a preseason game than something happen and Vrabel can't make the game. Heaven forbid something can happen, and then he has to come in here and do what Vrabel does. Let him go ahead and get his feet wet, and it's a game that most people say don't count, but at least he'll get his feet wet in that kind of game as to a real regular season game, and that's all I got.
All right, thanks for the call, Joe. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, and that's what it is. You wouldn't do this week one against the Saints. But, I mean, and look, there's not a lot of scenarios where it would happen, but I think COVID kind of taught us that you could have situations where somebody has to miss a game for whatever reason, and you want to be ready for it. This is another way to do that. But, I expect Mike Vrabel to be the head coach for all 17-plus games of the Tennessee Titans this year. But now, Terrell Williams is going to get the opportunity to see what it's like from that seat. Texter says, I think that this is awesome and a great opportunity. Obviously, Coach believed he deserved it. Anyone who could find something bad in this has to look really hard. Another texter says, players are playing for their jobs. They have to take it seriously. Well, yeah. But, I mean, I think that, look, there's a lot of people that don't think the Titans are going to be very good this year and think that Vrabel could end up on the hot seat. Now, I'm not one of those. I think he's fine. I think his job is safe. But, if you're one of those people that feel that way, then you probably are looking at this like it's a bad idea. I don't.
I will say, Chase, going into this first preseason game, if I'm Coach Vrabel, I mean, this goes to the point where it shows to players that are on that fine line where if they're going to make the team or not going to make the team, it's going to be more of how are they going to respond to head coaching change. Because when I played football, our coach did the same thing in some tune-up games we played out in Memphis. We had our offensive coordinator was the quote-unquote head coach for the game. And I'll tell you right now, there were a few people, probably a handful of them, that did not respond well, and they ended up falling lower onto the depth chart.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the players are going to have to – and I'm sure that's going to be Vrabel's message of like, hey, you're going to treat him like you would treat me. You're going to listen to him like you would listen to me. And Coach Williams has, probably the respect of his players, of the players, that's why this idea is probably going to work. Another texter says, I like this idea for Mike Vrabel. I'll bet this assistant head coach is getting a piece of paper when and who to sub out. It's not like they're just running the show on Willis and Levis' first game evaluation. Yeah, I mean, he's going to have a game plan. Vrabel's going to be a part of that game plan. So I don't see that being an issue by any means. 615-737-1025. Would love to have more of your calls and texts on that. Terrell Williams stacks as the head coach against Chicago this weekend. Coming up next, we'll look at some other things around the league, including some intriguing position battles around the NFL. It's Chase McCabe live today, Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, Titans training camp, and our training camp coverage is presented by the Simmons Bank Open, Parman Energy, Cottle Vet Clinic, and the new Cumberland Development on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Year 3 for Clark Lee.
The moment is upon us. I think Coach Lee's done a good job. Bowl game's definitely within reach.
Touchdown, Vandy.
It's training camp time for the Black and Gold. How will Coach Clark Lee and his squad continue to grow?
Keep coaching and developing through both their wins and their losses.
Keep it locked to your home for the Commodores. 102.5 and 106.3, The Game, and the Game Nashville app.
Parman Energy is your one-stop petroleum solution across all of Tennessee, offering turnkey petroleum solutions for professionals in major industries, serving trucking fleets, construction companies, industrial plants, and more. Whether a large corporation or owner-operator, Parman Energy has your diesel fuel, lubricant, DEF, and equipment needs. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman. Visit ParmanEnergy.com for more info. Your Tennessee petroleum solution providing totally outrageous customer service.
Hang on. It's going to be a wild ride. The PBR team's champions, the Nashville Stampede, are coming home in a run to defend their title.
Yo, we coming.
Stampede Days, August 18th through 20th at Bridgestone Arena. Heart-pounding action you don't want to miss. Tickets start at $20. Get yours today at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com.
Yo, we coming.
Join us for the ride.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
But we don't speak Spanish.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks. Babbel's conversational method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish.
Estoy muy emocionado para ir a España contigo.
Aww. He just said, I'm very excited to go to Spain with you. Vamos a tener mucha diversión.
And that means we're going to have so much fun.
Sí. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now, for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality, so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones.
All shapes, rounds, ovals, radiants, cushion cuts, pear shapes, emerald cuts, princess cuts. There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
This is Chase McCabe.
Good to meet you. You know why it's good to meet me? Because I'm smart and I'm right.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Broadcasting live today. Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, Titans training camp. Practice underway right now. We'll have Jonathan Hutton from Outkick join us at 10:30. As watching some of the drills going on. They've allowed some fans in today, as well as Coach Jared is here and is all red, making sure that he stands out. So he's evaluating practice today. But looking around the league, ESPN has with their NFL Nation reporters, has an article of position battles for all 32 teams that people are paying attention to at training camp. And you you scroll down to the Titans. Teron Davenport is who contributed to that, and he has backup quarterback. He says Malik Willis and Will Levis are in a battle behind starter Ryan Tannehill. Willis has shown great improvement from last season. He has drawn praise from the coaching staff. It is clear Willis is more comfortable in year 2, which he attributes to speaking the same language as opposed to last season when he came in after playing mostly in an RPO-dominated offense. Meanwhile, Levis is adjusting to the new terminology and working to throw with more touch. Both Levis and Willis have started to rotate with the second and third groups. We'll split the preseason game snaps because Tannehill typically doesn't play in those contests. Again, that's from Teron Davenport. I would say I would agree with that. The offensive line, I think, is just kind of in a category of its own. And it kind of feels like the 5 they're rolling with right now is probably going to be the 5 that start the season. So I would say backup quarterback would certainly be it. Rest of the AFC South for Houston, and this is DJ Bienemy, cornerback. Derek Stingley Jr. is locked into a starting role, but who wins the job opposite of him? Steven Nelson, Shaquille Griffin, Kobe Francis, those are the potential candidates right now. Nelson started 16 games for the Texans last season, but Griffin is a former Pro Bowl corner. So could Shaquille Griffin steal that job? For the Colts, it's quarterback. Anthony Richardson or veteran Gardner Minshew. Stephen Holder says Richardson, as expected, has been up and down during training camp, but his highs are always eye-opening throws that demonstrate why the Colts might be willing to start the season with the inexperienced but physically tantalizing prospect. Minshew has the advantage of being more seasoned in Coach Shane Steichen's offense, but his ceiling is clearly lower than Richardson. I mean, that is the one thing that, Minshew worked in this offense with the Eagles. It made sense to bring him over, that if you wanted to start with him and not throw Richardson in right away, you could certainly do that. And so that's kind of their evaluation. I feel like Richardson's going to win the job, though. It's kind of leaning that way. What do you think, Nick?
I do. I've been sold on Indianapolis for a little bit just because, you have a lot of perennial wide receivers out for Indianapolis, and they haven't really, kind of with the Titans, haven't been doing much. And so when you actually have a quarterback to circle your offense around, and plus he's versatile with his legs, this could be, like I said earlier in the show a few weeks ago, the Titans might split with Indianapolis this year.
See, I'm not going to go that far. I mean, when you say sold, I'm not. I think they're going to be a team in transition, in a transition year, and a rebuild, so to speak. But it's all going to be contingent on how quickly Richardson can become what a lot of people think he can be, like what Jared thought he could be when Jared wanted him to come here. So I'm not as sold yet But I think that maybe I could put them in the category of what Jacksonville was supposed to be last year, of not there yet, but they're going to be better than maybe you think they are. Maybe that's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
And then there's Jacksonville. The biggest, according to Mike Duraco, is nickel corner. He says almost every starting spot is already locked in, but the battle to be the third cornerback is a competition involving at least 5 players. 6-year player Trey Herndon is the incumbent, but second-year players Gregory Jr. and Monterick Brown, and rookies Eric Hallett and Christian Braswell are getting reps. Rookie Antonio Johnson has gotten a look as well, but he'll more likely be used if the team wants a big nickel on the field to function as almost another linebacker. That's Michael Duraco. So those are the battles within the AFC South. Let's see. Cincinnati, right tackle. But much has been made of Jonah Williams moving from left tackle to right tackle. The 2019 first-round pick, who started for the past 3 seasons and made headlines this offseason by requesting a trade and then recanting, was considered the favorite to win the job. However, Jackson Carman has split reps with Williams early in camp. Cincinnati is seeking to fix an offensive line that ranked 30th in pass block win rate in 2022. So that one's certainly something to pay attention to. The Jets, they're looking for center with Connor McGovern as the favorite, but got a couple of others that are vying for that job. Buffalo's looking for a middle linebacker. That's kind of the biggest one that they're watching. Kansas City, where did Kansas City go? Cornerback. After drafting 4 cornerbacks last year and another this season, the Chiefs have plenty of players competing for playing time. L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie are the regulars, and both have the ability to move inside for slot coverage on passing downs. Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson, and Nick Jones, a 7th-round pick, are getting plenty of snaps as the Chiefs try to determine how best to line up when opponents use 3 and 4 receiver formations. So that's there. Looking at some intriguing teams out of the NFC. Green Bay, they have backup quarterback. And, when we were talking Green Bay last week, that's the thing. They didn't bring in a veteran, to back him up. So, what is that going to look like? Jordan Love, the starter, and, he's obviously been around for a few years, but a backup with no experience is an intriguing one to me. Minnesota, where the Titans will be next week. Cornerback, there's a battle there. The Falcons, punt returner is what they have. Washington is quarterback. Philadelphia is safety. So those are some of the position battles around the league. You can go to ESPN.com to check that out. Coming up next, speaking of ESPN, they had another one that caught my eye. The breakout players of 2023. Who do you think they had for the Titans? I'll tell you next. Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Here we go, in and out of the huddle.
Training camp is underway in the Music City.
We want to try to make sure that we're developing a team.
And we have you covered.
Could Peter Skoronski be an option at tackle?
How quickly can DeAndre Hopkins get going?
We'll be broadcasting live from training camp with the latest news and storylines from practice.
Ryan Tannehill, in the last year of a contract.
It's a different team. It's a different roster.
Training camp coverage is brought to you by the Simmons Bank Open, Caudill Vet Clinic, and Parman Energy on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here. 6326 Patton Avenue is a new construction home in Nashville's Charlotte Park neighborhood. It offers 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and nearly 2,500 square feet. Features include a 2-car garage, custom walk-in shower, and a private backyard that's fully fenced. Text the number 2 to 615-420-2377 for pricing and info. Want your home on the radio? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
This week's Nashville's best deal is CBD American Shaman. Step into one of the CBD American Shaman's retail stores and sample various CBD products, while a CBD consultant is there to answer any of your questions. They select top-grade hemp plants grown on agriculturally responsible farms right here in the USA and bring worldwide wellness through ultra-concentrated CBD oil. They even have CBD treatments for your pets. Get half off a $30 gift card right now to their Goodlettsville or Hendersonville location at thegamenashville.com/deals.
All of us at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game want to recognize our active military, veterans, first responders, and educators with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? Oh, so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular amongst birds singing up, yeah, through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
This is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Frazier with your Game Center update. News out of the NFL, quarterback Teddy Bridgewater is signing with the Detroit Lions. Bridgewater was the backup quarterback last season for the Miami Dolphins, appearing in 5 games and throwing 4 touchdowns. News out of college football, the ACC is considering adding the University of California and Stanford to the conference.
Stanford, top to bottom, I don't think anyone would argue, has the best athletic department in the entire country. Second reason, they are distressed assets with nowhere to go right now. So I think picking up the phone and doing some vetting and exploratory talks, and sources have cautioned me, these are early talks. They are formal talks because people are getting on the phone, but they are early.
Tune in tonight as the Nashville Sounds are back in action on the road versus the Indianapolis Indians, AAA affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates. You can listen to the game on 94.9 The Fan. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUZ HD2 Laverne.
Bobby and Rex Road. Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase.
Stone and Company.
Nashville's best sports talk.
Crank it up.
102.5 and 106.3.
Rebound on the score. Make every play perfect. Touchdown, Middle Tennessee.
We're going to win the game.
A Cromwell media station.
Nashville. The suit is in the building.
Acknowledge me.
Are you ready? Ready? This is Chase McCabe on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase McCabe live today at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park, Tennessee Titans training camp. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday so far. And our training camp coverage presented by the Simmons Bank Open, Parman Energy, Cottle Vet Clinic, and the New Cumberland Development. Appreciate them for being on board with us as camp practice continues. One thing that I haven't mentioned yet that I want to is happy heavenly birthday to the late, great GM Floyd Reese. Today is his birthday, and, just saw a post on Twitter that or on Instagram that reminded me of that. Can't believe Floyd has been gone almost 2 years at the end of this month. Kind of a tough time for me because I lost my dad around the same time. So thinking about Floyd today, though, as we sit here, because he loved nothing more to sit out here at Titans training camp and watch the team practice, and had his clipboard and notebook and everything and did his evaluation. So thinking of Sally and the Reese family today, as our GM always with us. But as we kind of look at things, from a around the league perspective, ESPN did an article that they had their breakout stars of 2023 for that, and they did it in different categories. This is Bill Barnwell, and he always puts these things together this time of year on ESPN Plus. And he says breakout, though, isn't a term that fits every NFL player. A starting quarterback's breakout season might see him contend for MVP votes. For a player bouncing around the bottom of the NFL rosters and practice squads, though, breaking out might be earning 17 game checks. And so it's a kind of a different way to look at it. And they have different categories: Pro Bowlers to superstars, starter to Pro Bowlers, rotation to solid starters, post-hype candidates. So where do the Titans fall in this? And who is it that falls into this category? Well, he has, for the Titans, of course I just lost it, Chig Okonkwo. I think that fits right, as he's in rotation players to solid starters. And a little blurb of what he says about Chig Okonkwo. Tennessee is coming off a lost 22 season, but one of the bright spots from the frustrating campaign was its rookie tight end. Okonkwo made his presence known with a stretch in which seemed to he got open for a long catch every week. He finished with 4 catches of 30-plus yards. The only tight ends with more were Travis Kelce, George Kittle, T.J. Hawkinson, and Hunter Henry. He averaged 2.9s per route on 154 routes. The only player with 100 routes or more who averaged more yards was Tyreek Hill. That's an interesting company to be in for Chig Okonkwo. Playing on a team that runs at one of the league's highest rates, and with DeAndre Hopkins and Traylon Burks at wide receiver, Okonkwo won't attract huge target numbers. If he can run even 5 more routes per game, though, he could push towards being a top-end tight end. I think that's 100%. I think that Chig's going to factor into this. Even with Henry, even with DeAndre, even with Traylon, he's going to factor in to the offense this year. He spoke to the media yesterday, ironically, and was asked about, and he's not always, didn't always like to talk a whole lot, but kind of was asked about Tony Dews making some comparisons to other guys and kind of where he fits. Here was Chig Okonkwo.
Tony Dews oftentimes does cut-ups for the running back when he goes down, just to show you guys in the league, just other players. Has he done that with you guys, and if so, who?
Yeah, he's done that with a ton of players. I watched Delaney Walker a lot. He did a lot of cut-ups with Delaney Walker, a lot of cut-ups of Kelce and Kittle, Mark Andrews. So I think mostly Delaney Walker so far.
What do you take out of it?
A lot of guys have different ways of winning. Not everybody wins the same. Everybody plays to their strengths and what works for them. So for me, it's just learning that I got to find out what works for me. It might not work for Kittle, Kelce, Andrews, or Delaney. So
have you gotten to speak to Delaney at all? I know he has some interest in meeting with you.
I haven't spoken to him in a minute, but we have spoken before, though.
That was Chig Okonkwo yesterday. And, I'm glad he answered it the way he did, because it kind of showed me that, he knows that he's his own player. He's not trying to be George Kittle. He's not trying to be Delaney Walker. And I think sometimes it's unfair to do those type of comparisons, just like what Traylon Burks had to deal with last year of, he's coming in here to replace A.J. Brown. I mean, technically, on the roster, yes, but he's coming in here to be Traylon Burks, not A.J. Brown. Just like Chig Okonkwo is coming in here to be Chig Okonkwo, not Delaney Walker. Now, if he turns out to have a similar skill set and turns out to, have that kind of production like a Delaney Walker, you would take that all day long. Because Delaney Walker, in the Titans era, is probably the second best tight end that they've ever had in the Titans era. So you would take that 100%. But he's got to be his own player. And so I think it's interesting that in this article, Bill Barnwell points out Chig Okonkwo, because I think the easy one would be Traylon Burks. That you want Traylon Burks to become a superstar. And I think he's got that ability. I think that he certainly is going to have a leap of a year. And, I think if everything is perfect and you get what you want, you're talking about Traylon Burks and Chikakonkwo from an offensive standpoint at the end of the season. I mean, watching Traylon, like he's standing in front of us, I mean, he definitely looks the part. He looks different. And that in a good way. I mean that in a good way. And so I think it would be certainly interesting to talk about both of them. Now, some other players, like with Kansas City, he's got Sky Moore in a rotation players to solid starters. I think that's interesting. Let's see. Let's look at post-hype candidates. These are the players who, for one reason or another, have fallen off the breakout radar and aren't getting the appropriate level of attention heading into this season. Last year, the classic example of a post-hype breakout would have been Raiders running back Josh Jacobs, who went from playing in the Hall of Fame game and having his fifth-year option decline to leading the league in rushing yards. These players don't necessarily fit into any of the categories above, but they can regain that attention in 2023, and I could not agree more with who's number one. Mac Jones, quarterback of the Patriots. I mean, who knows what he is. I don't think he's a starting NFL quarterback. Or I take that back. I don't think he's a superstar starter NFL quarterback that's going to lead his team to winning anything. He might be a stopgap or whatever, but I don't think he's the answer. Antonio Gibson, running back for the Commanders. That's an interesting one. Byron Murphy, cornerback of the Vikings. Cleveland Farrell, edge rusher for the 49ers. That's also an interesting one. Rashawn Gary, edge rusher for the Packers. Azeez Ojulari for the Giants. So those are some other post-hype candidates. Now the ones that can really break out, starters to Pro Bowlers, he's got Garrett Wilson, number one, wide receiver for the Jets. I agree with that. I think Garrett Wilson, especially with Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball to him, is going to be one of the top receivers in the league this year. I mean, he's already come on and looked pretty good as Offensive Rookie of the Year. 83 catches for 1,100 yards and 4 touchdowns. Didn't get to the Pro Bowl last year, but I think he certainly could do that playing with Rodgers. He's got Charles Cross, offensive tackle for the Seahawks, on there. Jalen Phillips, edge rusher for Miami. Miami continues to be a team that I think is going to be interesting this year. Jalen Petrie, safety for the Texans, staying in the AFC South. So, I think it's interesting when you bring up some of these type players. But Chikakonkwo, like, who else besides Traylon Burks and Chikakonkwo do you want to see be a breakout player for 2023 for the Titans? 615-737-1025. I mean, those are obviously the top two. There's no doubt. I think Christian Fulton fits into that. I want to see Christian Fulton ball out this year. I mean, if we're talking about Christian Fulton as a Pro Bowl cornerback, I mean, he's going to get paid. I don't know if it'll be here, but he's certainly going to get a new contract. But they need Christian Fulton to have a breakout year. They need him to be healthy. They need him to make big plays. So keep those coming in, 615-737-1025 on our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, I haven't had a chance to react to this whole situation in college football, the Pac-12. What's next? We'll discuss that next. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
They fight.
Jared, you're how do you know, Joe? How do you know?
And fight.
And because of that,
But how do you know that, though? How do you know that?
But that's okay. It's Jared and Joe. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m., Jared Stillman and Joe Rexroad debate the big topics in sports. Jared versus Joe. Presented by Pella Windows and Doors and Parman Tractor and Equipment on Stillman and Company. Wednesdays at 5 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willy Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
The team at Mercedes-Benz of Music City have done it again. Here's Edwin Vickery to explain.
4-time recipient of Best of the Best. Less than 10% of the dealers in the country receive this award. How did you do it? We say culture, eat strategy for lunch, because we can strategize all we want, but unless you have the right culture and chemistry in the dealership, it will not work.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com. Hang on. It's going to be a wild ride. The PBR team's champions, the Nashville Stampede, are coming home in a run to defend their title.
Yo, we coming.
Stampede Days, August 18th through 20th at Bridgestone Arena. Heart-pounding action you don't want to miss. Tickets start at $20. Get yours today at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com.
Yo, we coming.
Join us for the ride. Chase McCabe is on.
I am not that guy you think I was.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Quite frankly, what we have now, we have 2 super conferences in college football and then another, what I would call a nice conference in the Big 12. And I don't know where the ACC is. I mean, to me, one of the most interesting stories of the week was the fact that Florida State decided, you know what, we're too good for the ACC. We won out. And even today, there's another story out, Dan, on that, not to be jumping all over the place, that the university in Tallahassee is looking into private equity to try to buy their way out. Now, how much would it cost for them to leave? $120 million. They better work on that pretty hard.
That was Paul Feinbaum of the Paul Feinbaum Show. 2 super conferences and a nice conference. Interesting way to put it. I think I said the other day the Power 2 and the other 3, or maybe it's other 2 now. Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game at Titans training camp. But, over the weekend, I guess we officially poured one out for the Pac-12, as it is pretty much, as Nick Saban said many years ago, dead, buried, and gone. And, I mean, it's sad, obviously, because you've seen a Power 5 conference disintegrate before our very eyes. And, Jared and I were kind of texting about it, and he said, well, we saw the Big East die. And I think that's the best comparison you can make. But was the Big East at that point, at the same level of the Pac-12? I mean, Pac-12 had USC, Oregon, contenders. The Big East in basketball, sure. I think that's where the Big East really stood out to me. But in football, I think the Pac-12 is a little bit different. But, and there's other people that are saying, like, Washington and Oregon sealed the Pac-12 fate. Arizona was the next one. And now you have the ACC getting involved. What's going to happen with Florida State? Because if I'm the ACC, I'm looking at this going, we got to play this very carefully. Because if Florida State's serious and they bolt, I think Clemson and Miami are right behind them. That's powerhouse, especially for football. Now you can preserve things by, trying to maybe add a couple more teams to replace them, and then hold on to Duke and Carolina and whatever for basketball. But for football, I mean, it's, again, you're not going to be in the same playing field as the SEC and the Big Ten. You're not now. So they got to tread lightly when it comes to that. The Big 12, I think last summer we thought the Big 12 was dead, and now they've been able to go into survival mode, and now, as Paul Feinbaum put it, they're going to be nice. They're going to have a nice conference. But it's just a really weird time in college football. And, like I heard the discussion on Robbie and Rexro this morning with Paul Kaharski filling in for Robbie, and Joe, kind of raised the question of, like, at what point, if you're like the SEC and you're one of these super conferences, do you have different tiers of your super conference? And, you look at teams like, and he used Vanderbilt as an example of that, while we all like Clark Lee and we all think that, football is certainly, trending in the right direction, and I hope it continues to trend in the right direction, but do other schools in that conference look at Vanderbilt and it's like, nah, now in this conference, like, we're going to have the big boy table and we're going to have the other table. And then what happens? I mean, so there's just different tentacles to this whole thing as the landscape of college football and college athletics, continue to change. I feel like it's trending more and more that football is going to be its own thing, and then you'll have maybe some of the more traditional conferences for everything else. It just feels that way, where you can have a super conference of 32 whatever teams competing for the big national championship, and then you'll probably have another national championship and then another one, and just different tiers like you would in high school football. That feels like where it's going. And then basketball can be more of what we've been used to, potentially. But this ESPN even has a realignment tracker now. I mean, it's unbelievable to watch, to kind of look at this. Like the ACC, 14 teams this year. It says the ACC hadn't announced any plans to expand or contract over the next 2 seasons. The Big Ten, 14 teams this year. 2024, in one of the biggest moves in realignment history, Pac-12 schools, USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington will join the Big Ten in 2024. That's next year. 18 teams. Unbelievable that's where it's at. Big 12, same thing. They're adding 16 teams. The Pac-12, basically, right now in 2024, Cal, Oregon State, Stanford, Washington State. So they go from the Pac-12 to the Pac-4. That ain't going to work. So where is this going, and how do you feel about it? 615-737-1025 is our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I mean, I guess the thing is, like, people can sit here and they can go, I hate this. This is bad for college football. It's ruining the traditions of college football. You're ruining rivalries, and all that, and you could be mad about it. But, like, how many of you are actually going to stop watching? And that's where they got us. That's where they hang on to this, is they're not going to they know that we're going to quit. We're not going to quit watching. We're going to watch. You're going to tune in to Fox or CBS or ABC or NBC, and you're going to watch whatever the matchup is and whatever the conference is, whoever the head coach is, especially if it's your team. I mean, you just are. There might be a small group that says I'm done, just like there was a small group that was done with the NFL for whatever reason. Small group that was done with the NBA for whatever reason. I mean, that happens. I call them the loud minority. But there's a reason it's $1 billion business. There's a reason that the SEC and the Big Ten have signed these new contracts with these networks, and that the networks want to sign these new contracts because they know it's not going away. And it can keep realigning, and you can cannibalize a conference and, see Pac-12 after dark go away, pour one out for that. You're still going to watch. That's the thing. You can be mad about it. You can say that it's bad for college athletics. But they know you're still going to watch, and that's where they got you. So what's next? I mean, this isn't done by a long shot because, as I mentioned, the Pac-12, as of right now in 2024, will have 4 teams. That isn't going to work. So where are they going to go? You're gonna add to these things. But like in the Big 12, are they done? Like, you remember when we were sitting here last summer, I guess it was, and it's like, what's going to happen to the Big 12 now that Oklahoma and Texas are bolting for the SEC? Like, can the Big 12 survive this? And there was all this talk of alliances and things like that, and that fell through. That, obviously, looking back on that now, had that worked, then that probably would have worked out better for – obviously would have worked out better for the Pac-12. That didn't happen. But it's fascinating to watch this train wreck that is college football right now. And we're not even – the thing is, like, camps are, happening and the games are just a few weeks away. We're not even talking about that. We're talking about in August, we're talking about realignment. That's the part I hate is, like, I'm ready to talk about the games. I'm ready to talk about the players. I'm ready to talk about position battles, Heisman battle, what coach is on the hot seat. That's what I'm ready to talk about. But we're sitting here talking about realignment. And, it's a topic that won't go away. 615-737-1025. I mean, Cal and Stanford in the ACC. Tell me how that works. Like, I mean, and that's probably what's going to happen as the Pac-12 continues to blow up. Unbelievable.
I will say this, Chase, with the Pac-12 just dissipating in front of our eyes, it gets to the point where these cupcake games that college football normally has on a season-to-season basis, they're going to go away. So, like, those smaller schools that are more tune-up games for these bigger colleges, those will go away, and those small colleges won't have those financially, I guess, bigger pocketbooks whenever they play like an Alabama or a Michigan. Because if you get these super conferences, you're going to have to expand the season extra 2 to 3 games, would you say?
Oh, I mean, I think that's coming. Basically, look at it like this, Nick. Anything that adds a 0 to the already large number that these schools and these conferences and these people get, that's what drives it. It's money. It's all about money. So if they can add to you talk about open the pocketbook, yup. They add to it, then they'll do whatever. That's what this is to this point. So what is this from Lane Kiffin? He tweeted so he quote tweeted so Shannon Cunningham says, I chose to play in the Pac-12 because of the ability to play close to home and in front of family. I chose the Pac so my family didn't have to worry about far travel or giving up all their vacation time just to come see me. This affects athletes in every sport and academics. And Lane Kiffin quote tweeted and said, sorry, they obviously didn't think about how it would affect the ones that actually have to play, travel, and go to class the next day at Pac-12. He's 100% right. But again, they're not thinking about that. You know why? Oh, I got another 0. That's what's driving this. And I'm not saying that's right. I'm just telling you why it is. But good for Lane Kiffin. I mean, he's right. Now, are people going to listen to what Lane Kiffin has to say, or are they going to look at him and go hypocrite? but he's not wrong with that quote tweet. Texters on our text line. Ron says, do you think this could start new rivalries? Is that interesting? I mean, sure. I mean, you'll get new rivalries. I mean, especially if you're adding USC and you're adding USC to the Big Ten. It's gonna add intrigue. But that's not really what this conversation is about. D-Mase just sat down and goes, here comes the Louisville Scout. I mean, Jared is decked out in all red. He's even got a red hat on. The Louisville Scout. I like that. Another texter says, yes, I'll watch, but I'm not going to pay hundreds of dollars to stream games. Yeah, the streaming thing is certainly part of it too. But, I mean, how many people would go to a sports bar or – I mean, surely they'll figure some of that out. So, certainly something to watch for sure. Coming up next, and we'll get Jonathan Hutton's opinion on this too, not just the Titans. He's going to join us from Outkick here on Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one. It's absurd.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report for doors and windows is in. Pella Windows and Doors are the leading brand among all others. A few reasons why. Pella is regarded as the highest quality, the most innovative, and the installers with Pella of Nashville lead the way for attention to detail. That's why Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of Pella's top locations in the country. For new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaNashville.com.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
At Mitchell's Mr. Transmission, we also offer free towing with any major repairs. If your vehicle has a breakdown and you should need any type towing, towing is available through Dad's Towing Service. Dad's is a professional towing company in Nashville that provides all types of towing and recovery, 24 hours a day.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
Hey y'all, it's Courtney with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by our store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give our sales team a call. We're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland tractor, bush hog, and more.
Check, check. You might already know about the Acura MDX. V6 engine, seat 7. We have an announcement. We swapped that engine with a specially made 3-liter turbo V6, race-tuned the steering and suspension, and for the first time, added Type S performance to an SUV. So we're just gonna drop this right here. The Acura MDX and first ever MDX Type S. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Experience the thrill at Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of the Nashville Predators. TennesseeAcura.com.
Hey, it's John Tesh. You want to know how to get better rates, better coverage, and better service on your home and auto insurance? Work with Zander Insurance. I know it's a big promise, but this team delivers. They've been around for almost 100 years and have earned the privilege of representing dozens of insurance companies so they can shop, compare, and find you the best options available. More options mean more savings, and in many cases, better coverage. But it doesn't stop there. Each year, they review your coverage to make sure your rates stay competitive. Nobody else does that. And when it comes to service, just check out their ratings. Zander is one of the top agencies in the industry, and they earned that spot with their commitment to making sure their clients are taken care of like family. That's what sets them apart. Go to Zander.com for quick online quotes or call 800-356-1780 for that personal touch that you've been missing.
Hey, did you tune in late? It's okay. It happens. You can subscribe to the Chase McCabe podcast wherever you get your podcasts. iTunes, Spotify, doesn't matter. Rate, subscribe, and review today.
Chase McCabe on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, broadcasting live today, Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park. Titans training camp practice continuing right now, watching different drills out here. Got some fans out here as well. We say hello to Jonathan Hutton from Outkick. Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow, weekdays from 2 to 5 on 94.9 The Fan. Hut, what's up?
Chase, hope things are well out there at camp today.
Oh, yeah, not too bad. It's not too hot either, which is nice.
Yeah,
so
perfect. Yeah, it's good.
I had to wear pants today. I couldn't do the shorts, so I'm really glad it's not that hot. So
You're
it's
the
worked
half
out well for me
suit today, the half suit.
Yes, exactly. Before we get into the Titans, though, I just want to start with college football. And, I was just talking about it in the last segment about all this realignment. I mean, we've watched the Pac-12 die. Like, it's gone. I know technically there are 4 teams remaining. They're going to be gone soon. The Pac-12 is going to cease to exist. And I know we watched the Big East, the old Big East die. I put the Pac-12 in a little bit of a different category. than the old Big East. But what does this mean moving forward, and how did we get to this point?
Well, we got to this point, if you go back with Larry Scott's leadership of the Pac-12, specifically. Back in 2018, there's an audio clip, a video. It may have been at their media days. It may have been just after, but he's boasting about the position that they were in going into the 2024 media contract being up. That was in 2018, and how everyone stood aligned and they were going to be in great position for whatever was to come with the college football playoff rumors and realignment and expansion and all these different things. Now, fast forward a couple of years, they're in dire straits financially. They probably were then too at the time. And it leaves Klavkov with, not much to work with, but at the same time, he has been the opposite of what we have seen take place in the Big 12. And it's all just based on leadership and foresight. I think the Big 12 has stayed relevant. Have they survived this? Yes, they've survived this. But where are we going to be in 5 years? Let's try 3 years, 3.5, Jace, because the college football playoff expansion, which is coming to 12, that is a 2-year agreement. So they will be renegotiating that. And before they even kick off the college football playoff, what they've got to do is go back and tell us what is in store for the automatic qualifiers, because, again, with 4 schools in the current Pac-12, that's not going to remain the same. And the Power 5, the champions of the Power 5 get an automatic qualifying bid to the playoff. That's certainly not going to be the case for the Pac-12 as it stands now. And that I would include that should be the case, even if they just add on or merge with the Mountain West, because this reminds me a lot of Conference USA and the Sun Belt. There's a lot of boasting and bragging about Sun Belt teams that jumped to the Conference USA a handful of years back. And really all that happened is Sun Belt became Conference USA because the Conference USA schools that you were boasting about, well, they all left. So this is what they're left with. And, yeah, you're exactly right. It was the death knell. It was the death knell when Oregon bolted. And that was before Arizona State, and Utah also were packed up and ready to go to the Big 12.
Here's kind of how I see this, too, that it's going to get to a point where you're going to have the 2 super conferences in the Big 10 and the SEC. You mentioned the Big 12. They kind of went into survival mode, and they're going to survive. The ACC, I think I put them in the same category, but if they're not careful, they're going to be in trouble. So you get to that point. I see a time in the next 5-ish years where maybe there's 3 national champions. Your super conference playoff, college football playoff, that's basically the SEC and the Big 10, the other guys, and then maybe the group of 5 finally gets together and they have their own. Could you see it potentially going that way?
Well, I love this conversation because I'm trying to think of it from who's really running all of this, and it's the networks, right?
Sure.
So look at it from this perspective, and I don't disagree with it because I think anything's on the table, and there can be mismanagement that leads to a lot of things. But ESPN, I think the ACC is going to be okay because of ESPN. ESPN needs programming, and just and it's not just like bad football. But if you think of everything that ESPN has a platform for, from ESPN Plus to different channels there. Then they have the ACC network tie-ins. They have what they've done with SEC Network, SEC Network Plus, on top of ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, ABC, all these different things. Well, it's not just from ESPN's perspective. Hoops is a big deal for them in the non-football months. They need live programming. Live programming drives a needle. And unless you're airing an NFL game, you want college athletics on your screen, especially the big 2, which is football and basketball. So I think, in considering there's a grant of rights in place through 2036 and that media deal, I don't think they're going to let ESPN – I'm saying ESPN. I don't think ESPN would let the ACC implode itself the same way the Pac-12 did. Sure, there can be some schools that bolt, But from ESPN's perspective, Chase, if Florida State left, why is it good business for ESPN to pay Florida State more to join the SEC when they already have the rights to Florida State and all the rights to their home games? I mean, they're even airing the Florida State LSU game on ABC or ESPN1 whenever the season kicks off this year. They have the rights last year and this year, too, even for the non-home games, neutral site games. Point being, I think some conferences are a bit more, not totally protected, but they do have someone looking out for what is in their best interest. Now, if they take that advice, that's one thing. If they don't, that's foolish. But I think in the Pac-12 case, their media deal was up, and they had nowhere to go but Apple TV Plus, and that's not a good thing when you don't have linear television, because you need your biggest brand on TV, not behind a paywall, and that's what would have happened with linear being a secondary option. And if I may here, I can just take it to this level too. Consider this: outside of the conference expansion and what has happened over the last 2 weeks, it all happened very fast. These are the same conferences. This is the same leadership that stood at podiums at SEC Media Days, at Big Ten Media Days, and across the country and said, NIL, we've got to get a stranglehold. We've got to get federal legislation to rein this in. You know, the transfer portal is out of hand. Name, image, likeness. Players are making money and they're bolting. There's a lot of tampering that's going on with rosters. We're having to recruit at our schools our own roster instead of the high school market. Those same people within the same time period of literal days, and not months but weeks, just transfer portaled an entire conference. They sent teams packing all over the almighty dollar and took those teams in like it was nothing, like they haven't been in an echo chamber listening to themselves speak instead of getting the reaction and feedback from people that, by and large, fans are going to watch the best football and the best product. If it was about playing for the love of the game, there'd be a Floyd Stadium that was packed every weekend, and that's not the case. So, yeah, I mean, the hypocrisy is blatant, and I don't think that that's the top headline, but it should be, because the same guys that are at podium saying, you know, name, image, likeness, and the transfer portal are bad for college sports are doing the exact same thing on a mega $1 million level, and they did it just after saying all this.
Jonathan Hunt is with us from Outkick. We're here at Titans training camp today, and team period going on. You probably heard the groan of the crowd there. There was a drop pass that I think would have been 6. Didn't quite see who it was, but just saw the ball hit the turf. Vrabel announced yesterday that Terrell Williams, the assistant head coach, will be acting as the head coach against the Chicago Bears to open the preseason. Unprecedented, but I understand what he's doing to give Williams the reps to go through as a head coach. What do you think about that move?
I have no problem with it. This happens not from the head coaching standpoint, like on the headset, but like this happens more times than even I thought it was going on whenever I was traveling around with the team. But for instance, you know, Mike McDaniel, who was just hired last year in Miami, during preseason, he would call plays for Shanahan in his off, like to have a game to call plays as a coordinator, because he was just the co-coordinator who wasn't really calling plays because of Shanahan's offense. Same deal, I believe, with Nathaniel Hackett and LaFleur in Green Bay, because the offensive-minded coaches are getting hired. So I think from Vrabel's perspective, if he believes Terrell Williams, and I have heard this, this goes back a ways, where I've heard that Terrell Williams has the head coach mentality and material, right? I heard that about Arthur Smith as well.
Yeah.
Well, as a positional coach, if you want to get noticed, you either call plays or you act as the head coach in a preseason game. You know, that's, and especially if you're on defense, Chase. So I think by Vrabel just announcing this going into preseason week 1, that gets more attention than just after the game, like, oh yeah, Terrell called the plays instead of Bowen. I think they want to keep the continuity going with some of the guys that are going to play a bit on in Chicago this weekend from a defensive perspective, and they give Terrell the chance to manage the game. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. And look, by the end of the first quarter, everyone's going to be looking to get out of there healthy. That's the main thing with all this. And look, it gives Terrell Williams a platform to maybe have a game situation or something. But also keep this in mind: if it's 4th and 4, and it's at the right at midfield, or it's on the opponent's yard line or your own yard line at the 35, and a tie game, and you're going to decide to kick it or not. It's not like you manage this game to go to overtime either. So
no, I want them to kick it because I want to see if they got a kicker that can make it.
Well, you want to kick it unless it's going to tie the game and go to overtime.
Yeah, well, true.
Yeah. So even with the positional battles, it's not the be all end all of a game to manage. Let's put it that way.
Real quick, how do you want to see them rotate Willis and Levis?
I've thought about this. I don't mind a half and a half, but it is like you are seeing a quarterback with, for the most part, in the first game. You will see Levis, Willis, and if you going by the depth chart, you'll see Willis go with the guys he's been practicing with for the most part. Same thing with Levis. So I don't have a problem with the first game. I do like the spontaneous nature, though, of, okay, it's time for you to go in. You're sitting. So-and-so, let's go through the motions of just getting warm really fast and going in. I think that's more of the backup job anyway. If they were battling for the starting role, rotating big reps in chunks would be the way to go for me throughout the entire preseason. I think they'll have to shake it up, though, a bit and have some emergency-like situation that's not expected on both guys, and then see exactly what happens with how they handle it, because that would happen in a game. Whereas, Tannehill's coming out in this play. No. They can't afford to do that this year like they tried to put Willis in spots last year.
Going to be interesting to see for sure. Jonathan, good to talk to you as always. Thanks for doing this, and we'll talk next week.
Yep, always enjoyed, Chase. Have a great day, and good luck with all the meetings that require pants today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jonathan Hutton. From Outkick, Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow, weekdays 2 to 5 on 94.9 The Fan. We'll give you a practice update coming up next, and also a little more on Terrell Williams here on Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Calling all Nashville Sounds baseball fans. You know the 312 Pizza Company in Germantown is the best place to be before or after a Sounds game, but this season, it gets even better. Stop by 312 Pizza Company before or after any Nashville Sounds home game with your day of ticket and get a free old-style beer. That's right, you get a free old-style beer from 312 Pizza just for watching Sounds baseball. Only redeemable with purchase. See you at 312 Pizza Company all baseball season long. 312 Pizza Company, a proud sponsor of your Nashville Sounds.
All right, let's talk Superbook Sports. Football season right around the corner. Now's the time to place your preseason bets with my friends at Superbook Sports here in Tennessee. The Superbook Tennessee app is very easy to use. Download it, create your account, and when you sign up for the most trusted name in Vegas, use my promo code CHASE, C-H-A-S-E. You'll score up to $250 with your first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 simply by using the promo code CHASE. That's my name. It's that easy. Will Tennessee win the division this year? Who is your pick for MVP, and which team will win it all in February? Don't sit on the sidelines. Win money this season with Superbook Sports. Download the Superbook Tennessee app or visit superbook.com to place your wager today. Football, a $250 first bet, and the Chase promo code will make you do your own touchdown dance this season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
B&B Flooring has a goal to bring your dream floor to you. Over 30 years running and locally owned and operated, B&B Flooring's full-service commercial and residential team will handle anything from tile, luxury vinyl, carpet, hardwood, rubber, and all commercial products. Make your flooring selection today and visit their showroom at 2204 Northwest Broad Street in Murfreesboro, or check them out at bnbflooring.com. Come celebrate B&B Flooring's official grand opening party Saturday, August 19th at their Murfreesboro location. There will be prizes, ticket giveaways, and much more.
Trust your pets with Cottle Vet Clinic in East Nashville in the heart of Inglewood for compassionate care and your fur baby's optimal health. From vaccinations to health checkups with on-site pharmacy, teeth cleaning, grooming, and state-of-the-art surgical procedures, trust Cottle Vet, now offering boarding. Visit CottleVetClinic.com to learn more. We know you love your pet. And at Cottle Vet Clinic, pets are family.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones.
All shapes, rounds, ovals, radiants, cushion cuts, pear shapes, emerald cuts, princess cuts. There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
The Nashville Sheriff wants to pay you $55,700 a year. Now hiring correctional officers. Positions are available immediately. You must be 21 and over with a high school diploma or a GED. Come, join our family and earn $55,700 after paid training and probation. Apply now at sheriff.nashville.gov/apply or call 615-862-8170. Stop searching. Apply now. The Nashville Sheriff.
Hello, whoever it is going to be.
You want to weigh in on anything that we're talking about on today's show? Hit us up on our phone and text line at 615-737-1025, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Chase McCabe on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
I told the team and everybody involved here at the organization, but Terrell Williams will act as the head coach for Chicago starting on Friday. So I think this is a great opportunity for him and for us and everybody involved. So Big T will handle that. Clint will handle the defensive line. And so that'll start on Friday. So you guys can handle that through Robbie and the communication when you talk to Big T and kind of steer it towards that. And he'll talk to you after the game, and I'll come back on Sunday and visit with you guys. So
Mike Vrabel yesterday explaining Terrell Williams, who is the assistant head coach and defensive line coach, will act as the head coach this weekend against Chicago. Chase McCabe, live today, Titans training camp, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. And all of our training camp coverage is presented by the Simmons Bank Open, Parman Energy, Cottle Vet Clinic, and the New Cumberland Development. Let's give something away, Nick. Let's make the people happy, shall we?
We shall.
Caller number 5 at 615-737-1025 will win a pair of tickets to see Incubus at First Bank Amphitheater on Wednesday, August 16th. Caller number 5, 615-737-1025 will win that. And also, I'm excited about this. I'm going to go because I do like beer. I've been known to have a beer. Our cold beer is as some people like to call it. Who was it that said that? I'm blanking on it now. I hate it when I do that. Sam Pittman, that's who it was. Sam Pittman has done a couple of interviews of after a big win, and he'll say, like, I'm going to go have that old cold beer, is how he puts it. But get out of the summer heat and join us for craft brews, food, games, and entertainment at the 2023 Nashville Predators Craft Beer Festival The fun begins this Friday from 6:30 to 10 at Bridgestone Arena, and proceeds benefit the Preds Foundation, which supports Middle Tennessee nonprofit groups and programs in the community. So looking forward to that. I love the Terrell Williams idea. You know that Mike Vrabel's still going to be involved. He's going to let Big T, as he calls him, go through the game as the head coach, but just to get the reps, just to get the experience. And I want to see, Hutton mentioned that, you've seen this with guys that call plays that don't usually call plays to get that experience. This is just another way to get a guy experience. But and could it lead to something? Could it lead to Terrell Williams becoming a head coach in the National Football League? Who knows? But obviously there's a lot of things that have to be accomplished from the Titans. I mentioned to Hutton I want to see the rotation between Willis and Levis and what happens with that. But, I think overall I trust what Mike Vrabel's doing here, and I think it's a positive move. And so looking forward to seeing that coming up Saturday, a noon kick for the Titans as they open the preseason against Chicago. Wrapping up practice, I believe I heard Rashad Weaver is going to join Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase after practice is over. So that'll be cool to see Rashad Weaver join them. But watching different team periods right now, and Will Levis is at quarterback. And so I've been trying, and it's hard when I'm doing the show and practice is going on to kind of pay attention. But they do have refs out here, which I think is beneficial. And so just saw the flag fly. The refs need some practice, and also gives, young players, to know what they can and can't do and kind of get in that sense. And so I think there is a benefit to having officials at practice. Mike Vrabel can use that as a, coaching tool and talk to the refs as well and kind of learn some things. And so it's preseason for everybody, but certainly a benefit to have that in here. But And the other thing too that's nice is it's not so blasted hot either, which is good, and I think that certainly can help. Obviously you got to deal with the elements, but you're not having to focus on that as much. It's actually quite comfortable out here today, so that's been good to see. But watching Levis command things right now as they go through some team drills, but kind of looking through Twitter. Ben Arthur said, like the play Malik Willis just made in team period, faced quick pressure coming from his right, sidestep to the left, and rolled out to hit Josh Wiley outside the numbers. That's the thing that's really stood out to me with Malik Willis is he's able to manipulate the pocket much better than he did last year. And I've certainly liked seeing that, and that's where he's shown some vast improvement. But Mike Vrabel will speak. There'll be a full breakdown of things. That's what Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase will be doing. As Caroline and D-Mase will be live out here at Titans training camp. They'll be joined by Rashad Weaver. He will join the fray, and we'll see how he's doing because I think he's an important player on defense this year. When we were talking about breakout players earlier, somebody said Arden Key as being one, and I certainly agree with that. Could certainly make a huge impact for this team this year. That is going to do it for me today. Again, don't go anywhere. Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase, Rashad Weaver at the end of practice as things are wrapping up here at Titans training camp. I'm back at it tomorrow at 9 here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, Tennessee, when you